အားလုံးကြွားရောက်လာတော့လူကြီးမင်းများဒီနနက်ခင်းမှာမင်္ဂလာပေါင်းနဲ့ပြည့်စုံကြပါစေလို့ဆုမွန်ကောင်းတောင်းပြီးတော့မှနှုတ်ဆက်ပါစေကျွန်တော်နာမည်ကသူရကိုကိုပါကျွန်တော်ခဏလေး introduction အနေနဲ့အစတွေကဒီ huge responsibility ကိုတာဝန်ထမ်းဆောင်ဖို့ငကိုတွေကကြောက်နေပြီးသားအခုတက်ခါနေ UMFCCI အကိုကြီးတွေကအဝေးကကြည့်ရင်ကျွန်တော်နဲ့ဝန်ကြီးတွေကနည်းနည်းခက်စင်စင်တူနေပါလားလို့တတိထားမိတယ်တဲ့အဲ့ဒါတခါ story လေးတစ်ခုကျွန်တော်တီးတကူဆရာတော်ဘုရားကြီးနဲ့အင်ဒိုနီးရှားကိုကပ်ပြအနေနဲ့ကြွတာတော့ကအဝေးကခမနောက်ဘက်ကအင်ဒိုနီးရှားဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာတွေကဆရာတော်နဲ့ကျွန်တော်နဲ့ထွက်လာတော့မားပြီးတော့မှကျွန်တော်နဝကမှာလူမိတာဆရာတော်ကြီးကမျက်နှာသားကြီးနဲ့ကြည့်ပြီးတော့မှယူရဲယူပြီးရင်တော့သင်္ကန်းအပီးဝက်လက်တော်လို့ပြောမိတာ So good morning ladies and gentlemen, my name is Thura Ko Ko. Some of you had the pleasure of listening to His Excellency yesterday make some brief comments at the wonderful gala dinner. For some of you, it may be the first time you are seeing both of us at the first time. So given some similarities, let me firstly make it perfectly clear that His Excellency is sitting to your right and myself sitting to your left. By way of context, I represent TPG Capital, and we have been privileged to invest close to $500 million in Myanmar businesses since 2014. In addition to that, we've had the ability to bring to bear $500 million worth of debt to Myanmar businesses. So a total of $1 billion. And of that 500 million, Your Excellency, 185 million was a refinancing just approved a few weeks ago by the Central Bank of Myanmar. What I wanted to underline is that the interest in Myanmar, Your Excellency, is very much still real, is very much still strong. And in that refinancing, when we syndicated out to a number of banks, actually a number of banks who had never extended facilities to Myanmar came into this syndication. This is encouraging, despite some of the challenges we are experiencing. And so without further ado, I wanted to hand over to you with your first question, if I may. And hopefully some of these questions are representative of foreign investors, as I represent one, and I had the opportunity to speak with a number in the audience as well. So first question, Your Excellency, is there is interest, but there are challenges both globally and regionally. We have sentiment issues, both globally and also on Myanmar specifically. With all of that, given your 10 weeks in your new responsibility of Union Minister for Investment and Foreign Economic Relations, I just wanted to first open up with what do you feel, Your Excellency, are your priorities, and what has been your initial understanding of the investment environment, especially as you've just returned from your Davos summit as well?
Thank you very much for the question. Before I go into this question, first, I'd like to apologize for coming in late. I had another interview. So you can imagine the number of interviews I have every day. So I began at 7 this morning. I'm still at some interview. So my apologies for being late. And if you see twins on the stage, I don't think this is a coincidence. I think this was a setup by the organizers to make you more relaxed early in the morning. But I promised you that I will do my best and to answer the questions that he has posed to me. And I understand he's had conversation with many of you, so I think his questions will reflect some of the queries that you have in this chamber. First, let me say that I feel very pleased and honored to be taking charge of this new ministry, have been requested to do so. I think this is an important move for Myanmar. It is a reflection of our desire to focus on trying to ensure that there's more investment in Myanmar and that we have a level playing field for all interested parties. So I would like to refer a little bit back to Davos meeting that was mentioned earlier by my good friend. I have just returned from Davos, Switzerland, day before yesterday. I met some of you on the plane, and I'm very happy that you followed me back to Naypyidaw. It is, I believe, a vote of confidence in Myanmar. When I was in Davos, I was trying to bring Myanmar to the world. So I'm one of those Myanmars who are not used to keeping quiet. I would like to blow our own trumpet. That may seem inappropriate to some of my colleagues, but I think we need to let the world know that there is Myanmar, that we are ready for business. So that is what I did in Davos. I've been telling them that Myanmar is now open for business. We are making the necessary changes to keep in time tune with the world. And I think it's time to invest in Myanmar. So that was the message I was trying to project in Davos. Here, I'm very happy that many of you have come thousands of miles to be with us in Naypyidaw and to see for yourself firsthand the change in the investment climate. The ministry was set up to ensure that we have a facilitating, a friendly environment for investors. The world today is changing. It's changing in many ways. We are now on the cusp of a new revolution, the fourth industrial revolution. And this fourth industrial revolution will have a vast effect on many of our countries. So we all need to be prepared for the changes that are on the way. Myanmar itself is preparing for that change. And one of the first things we have done is to make the change and transformation in the economic sector. So we believe that in order to have more investment, which is necessary for the progress of our country, we would need to ensure that we change the legal framework. And those of you who've been living in Myanmar know that in the last few months, we've made some changes that will have much effect on the way we do business here. Legal framework plus the administrative procedures have been changed. One of the most noticeable change is this use of digital technology to achieve progress. So we now have company registration online, and as you've heard the State Councillor say yesterday, within a span of a few months, say 5 months, we've had over 8,500 companies that were registered online. So that is a very positive sign. As to priorities, first, to put it in a nutshell, the priority is to ensure that doing business in Myanmar will be easy. If you look at the World Bank Index, it indicates that doing business in Myanmar isn't that easy. But I can tell you that within the last few months, we have taken a number of significant measures to ensure that it will be much easier to do business in Myanmar. The two things that we have done is, one, we are now setting up a standard operating procedure. So we are working with the Ministry of Planning and Finance to set up a standard operating procedure so that when you come to MIC for a proposal, for a project proposal, you will have before you a standard operating procedure that you will be familiar with. So we will work with the line ministries to ensure that when you come for a permit and we give you a permit, there will not be a need to have further permits. So we're looking to a single window system where you can feel assured that your proposal will be considered, and then when it is passed, you do not need to go to other places to get your project going. In the past, it had been a situation where you had a permit from the MIC, but you still had to go to other ministries to get permission to, say, for electricity or for construction or for water and other facilities. So that we are doing away with. And the next thing we want to do is to set up a land bank. And why do we want to set up a land bank? The reason is that many of the investors complain that it's difficult to get the land they need to have the projects started. So we have decided that the government ministries will have the land in digital register. It will be on a digital platform where everybody will know how much land is available, where it is available, and what is the type of land that is available. And that will make it easier for the investor, and that will be more transparent, and it would, I think, level the playing field for everybody who wants to invest in Myanmar. The other changes that we are looking to is the banking and insurance sector. And as you know, in recent weeks, we have made some change to the banking sector. Now there's a possibility for foreign banks to be able to operate in a more normal fashion. And then we will allow insurance companies, even 100% insurance companies, to set up shop in Myanmar and to be able to do insurance business. So this is a major change, and the Ministry of Investment and Foreign Economic Relations will drive this. We want to make sure that this will proceed as planned.
Thank you, Excellency. You've touched on a number of topics already. What I might do is ask a couple of questions on one or two sectors that are of interest. But let me start with your point on the fourth industrial revolution. And the telco sector has been an outright success in terms of reform, bringing in foreign investment. As I mentioned, we are an investor in this space. One statistic is between the 2014 and 2018 today, the number of telecom towers in our country has gone from just less than 3,000 to over 15,000 towers, covering 50 million people, 52 million people. In the Philippines, Your Excellency, they have a network covering 100 million people, but only with 15,000 towers. And I was speaking with regulators there, and they couldn't believe the tremendous growth and changes in this sector. But in your opinion, how real is this technical revolution? Are we ahead of ourselves? Is the leapfrogging in technology real, Your Excellency? And how can the rest of Myanmar benefit from it?
Indeed, I said earlier that we are on the cusp of change. We are on the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution. The third industrial revolution actually passed us because we were in isolation, self-imposed isolation, mainly for 5 decades. And when the third industrial revolution was happening and countries around the world were changing the way they work, the systems became digital, that digital revolution passed us and without us really realizing that we were left behind. Now that we have taken a decision to open up, we'd like to take quicker steps. We would like to turn our first faltering steps into much quicker steps, but not just asking our people to run when others are walking. We will not just leapfrog, we're going to take quantum leaps. This is, in the words of the State Councillor, we need to catch up with the world, we will take quantum leaps. So I'm very pleased and happy to see that our young people are quite getting more and more familiar with the digital revolution. In fact, the fact that almost all of us have these handheld devices in our pockets. I mean, 100% penetration of internet accessible technology, and all of us, even the poorest in our country, can afford a $1 SIM card, and you are able to be in touch with the world. So this is a revolution whose time has come for us, and I believe that we are now in a position to take this quantum leap. A few years ago, there was in the United States what they call the Robotic Olympics, and out of 163 countries, Myanmar came out 6th. And this is for a country that is just beginning to open up to digital technology. So you can imagine the possibilities that exist for Myanmar to really catch up with the world. So I'm very optimistic that we will not be left behind in the 4th industrial revolution. I know that the 4th industrial revolution is going to be very different from the previous revolutions. From the first industrial revolution, we took advantage of animal-based power. Then we had mass production. Then we have a digital leap forward. But this time around, there will be robots to replace workers. There will be neurological, technological changes. All those changes are going to take place at a very fast pace. But I'm confident that the young people that we have will be able to cope with this, because our population of around 53 to 54 million is composed of 30% of which are young people, less than 30-year-old. And they are all keen on the new technology, and we are happy to see that many of them have set up fintech companies. For example, there is a company called Pandia. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. Pandia loosely translates as a creative place or place of creation, or let's say a creative crucible. And we now have a situation where there are many new startup companies which will fill the void. So there's a lot of hope that Myanmar can catch up and be relevant in the new situation of the 4th industrial revolution.
Thank you, Excellency. Some of us saw that for ourselves right out front with KBZ Pay and the registrations. They've gone from 0 to 1.3 million in over 6 months. And these are statistics as good as in Indonesia, where they have similar logistic problems. So that opportunity is real.
I think so too. I share your view, because Wave Money, for example, the one that Yoma Bank, FMI, and Telenor have put together, is a fantastic medium for our people, because now they have Wave Money stations around the country, more than even bank branches or ATM machines. So this is a very positive step forward. And I think, and very recently, last few weeks, you heard about the KBZ Pay, which is also a very innovative way. And as you said, there have been millions of subscribers only in a short time of a couple of weeks. So this is very encouraging, and I'm sure the country will catch up, and the pace of change will quicken in the coming months and years.
Thank you, Minister. I'd like to now move to infrastructure a bit. The telecom sector is perhaps an easier sector to reform, because often pricing to users fall with privatization. The other infrastructure and utilities like electricity, water, roads, often are harder. The McKinsey report recently suggested that our country needed $150 billion worth of infrastructure investment over the next 10 or so years. half of that in transportation, a little bit more in power and so on. The project bank that I went through yesterday included inland ports in Bamor and Kalawa, a 430-kilometer railway between Muse and Mandalay, and the upgrade of Dandwe airports and Pa'an Bridge. But all of that, Minister, requires a great deal of documentation, of bankable contracts, perhaps even tariff reforms. And some of our investors who are absolutely interested in this space are just wondering how your ministry and the government are going to begin to address some of these difficult points, particularly in the remaining 2-3 years of this government.
It's quite clear that we have both challenges and opportunities. For those of you who have been living in Myanmar for the past few years are already aware of these opportunities as well as the challenges. Of course, there are perils if we want to move forward, but we are aware of these challenges that we face. One of the biggest challenge for us is the lack of infrastructure. And this, of course, is a golden opportunity for our partners who are just coming in. The lack of infrastructure is something that you can fill. Of course, it means a lot of funding, a lot of planning, and a lot of discussions that needs to be done. But it is a reflection that Myanmar is the next frontier. Perhaps the best last frontier, as Dawn San Suu Kyi put it yesterday. It is an opportunity for our partners to come and upgrade the infrastructure. Myanmar is strategically located. I don't need to underscore that, but let me repeat that Myanmar is standing right between India and China, two of the world's fastest growing economies. And Myanmar is in the hub, the transport hub for the whole of Asia. If you look at India, it needs to be connected to the east. It's looking at China, it's looking at ASEAN, and Myanmar is right in the middle. And if you look at China's BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative, you will find that Myanmar is in the middle of all this, because the 21st century maritime Silk Road must pass through Myanmar. And it is in the interest of everybody to make sure that Myanmar has the facilities, has the transport lanes, has the possibility part of this exciting era. China's rise should not be seen as something of an obstacle for all of us. I think we can all benefit if we turn this into this region into a region of cooperation rather than confrontation. We can be connected, we can have peace, and this will ensure the development of not only of the region but of the entire world. Because the Belt and Road Initiative is an initiative that is aimed to connect Europe, Africa, and Asia. And Myanmar will provide the entryway for the entrepot, for the hinterland of China. So if you would be exporting from Yunnan, say, it will go through Chaopiu or go through Yangon or other deep sea ports that we are planning in the country. So we are relevant to the whole Belt and Road Initiative. And I think we do have, I must admit, we do have problems of connectivity, mainly the infrastructure. But just as we have done well in the telecommunications sector, I think we can do equally well in the infrastructure. I think if many of you who are involved in the infrastructure projects, we'd like to welcome you, and we will find a facilitating environment. At the moment, we have many corridors, economic corridors that you might consider. The China-Myanmar Economic Corridor, we are thinking of a road link from India to Myanmar, to Thailand. All this is an opportunity for the investors.
Thank you, Excellency. Just on just one point on the Belts and Roads initiatives. Some are conscious of the many different interests you need to balance between China, India, also concerns within the country. And I think you mentioned briefly just behind stage your concept of phasing some of these investments rather than favoring one over the other. Perhaps some thoughts on that.
Since our independence in 1948, Myanmar has sought friends in the neighborhood and around the world. We want to be friends with everybody, and we'd like to have cooperation rather than confrontation in Myanmar. Of course, in the early days, there was, when we became independent, the world was in a different situation. But today, we're looking to cooperate with one another to ensure that the living standards will rise everywhere. That the gap between the developed and developing countries must be narrowed. And I think the only way we can do this is to work together. And there's a golden opportunity to do this. In the case of Myanmar, we have been working with our neighbors, both India and China, to ensure that we can benefit from the fact that they are the fastest growing economies. For example, China has been working with us to set up a deep sea port in Chaopyu and SEZ adjacent to Chaopyu. So we have been having discussions with China in the past few years, and people have been talking about it, and they have been saying that Myanmar is disinterested in the entire project. That is not so. What we want to do is to ensure that it is a win-win situation for all of us, for China, for Myanmar, and for the neighborhood. We need to have a deep sea port in that area. It doesn't have to be a mega deep sea port. It has to be a seaport that is needs-based. So if we need to have a deep sea port, we will begin with a small project and then have the possibility to expand when there is a need. So we can start, say, with 2 berths at the deep sea port, and if there is a demand, then it will grow. So it depends on the demand. So we are ready to work together with China. We are ready to work together with India. With India, we are developing the Sittwe port, and we have a multimodal project that will take us from Sittwe river transport up the Caledon River to northeast India, to Manipur, Mizoram, and other states that are in the northeast Indian side. So that will give India the possibility to have supplies go through the Caledon River. It will be beneficial to India, and it will be beneficial to Myanmar. We will open up the whole area, and all of us can work together for the benefit of the people living in this part of the world. So whether it's India, China, Bangladesh, Thailand, we need to work together. We live in an age of cooperation. It should be we should be focusing on cooperation rather than confrontation. So the pie is big enough for everybody.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Just to give a heads up, with the Minister's permission, we will open up in a moment for perhaps 1 or 2 questions from the audience, if we can get logistics right. And so just bear that in mind. The questions, if we could reserve them for members of the investment community, because I think there's a separate session for the press and media immediately afterwards. But I have one more question, Your Excellency, and it's perhaps the elephant in the room. One of the challenges we have in investing, and you're addressing a number of them in terms of approval processes and coordination between ministries and so on. But one challenge we are facing is also one of global sentiments. And of course, the Rakhine situation is one that many of our investment committees keep raising. I just wanted to give you an opportunity, given your first-hand experience in this sensitive matter, but also how the government is trying to improve sentiments towards investment in the country, if I may ask that.
I thought you would never bring it up. So we're going to talk about Rakhine. And Rakhine, as you say, could be seen as an elephant in the room, but I thought more like a bull in a china shop. So actually, we are aware of the situation in Rakhine. We have always been aware. We have never swept Rakhine under the carpet. From day one, this government felt that we have a situation in Rakhine that if it is not handled right, it could grow out of hand. And that is why from the very beginning in 2016, we set up the Kofi Annan Advisory Commission. We realized that there's a problem, but this is a long-standing problem. This is something that we inherited from the past, not just the recent past, but it's been there for centuries. And we believe that we need to find a sustainable solution, not a short-term solution, but a sustainable solution where peace will prevail and communities will live together in harmony. And for me, as a national security advisor, the other hat that I wear, I'd like to have peace and security for everybody in this country. Every citizen needs to feel secure. And that has been the objective that I have been working towards, to ensure the safety of each and everybody in this country. With regard to Rakhine, we were trying to find a solution that will be acceptable to all. And that is why we reached out to the international community to help us, to work with us, to partner with us to find a solution, not to aggravate the situation. So what has happened is that terrorism was given a chance to show its fangs. The situation became explosive, but we have been trying to control the situation and to make sure that there is change and change in the right direction. We need to address the root causes of the situation in Rakhine. What is the root cause of the situation? There are a lot of undocumented people there. There's poverty, underdevelopment, lack of jobs. We need to address all those issues. We cannot accept terrorism as the solution to all this that we face in Rakhine. And that is why I think we can work together with the international community, find sustainable solutions, create jobs. And you have a lot of big companies here. Let us start with agro-based industries. Let us start with fisheries. Let us have inclusive ways to bring the communities together. Start up universities. Let's look at education, health. Instead of pointing fingers, instead of blaming and shaming, let us work together to find a viable solution. If you would only focus on issues that are negative, if you would only focus on accountability, that is not going to solve the problem. You will only aggravate the situation in Rakhine. What we need to do is to work together to develop Rakhine. And soon you will have this opportunity to meet in Rakhine. Rakhine is 17 districts. And Rakhine is but one part of Myanmar. There are many other states, 14 states, and the administrative division of Naypyidaw. But Rakhine poses a challenge. We all know, I understand, but Rakhine, out of 17 states, there are only 3 out of 17 districts, there are only 3 districts adjacent to Bangladesh that is having some security problem. So let us work to resolve the situation there. So we will start, say, next month, in a few weeks, to have an investment seminar in Rakhine, so that you will see for yourself firsthand the stability, peace that prevails in the vast majority of Rakhine land, of Rakhine state. So we will meet in Tandwe, and you are all invited to come there and look at the potential of Rakhine to become a developed state. It is one of the least developed in our country. It's the second poorest part of our country, but it is a very fertile land. It produces more rice than you think. During the British colonial time, this was the rice-producing area of Myanmar, Burma then. And that was one of the reasons why you had an influx of workers coming into Myanmar. So it's time to understand the historical background to all this. It's time to work together to have harmony. And how do we do that? I think you are the answer to the problem in Rakhine. If you say there's a problem in Rakhine, work with us to develop Rakhine, and we will change the situation.
Thank you for addressing that, and indeed, thank you for allowing me to ask any questions. I want to give you the full 45 minutes, so I'm going to overrun a little bit, and I promise to allow for one or two questions, 2 minutes. So, any questions from the audience, if at all? Otherwise, we'll head.
Going once.
There's one question from the front here.
Minglawa kanya. Wenji kanya chano zeya ba chano power generation Burma bima tika lo pare. Le 20 လောက်20ကျော်ရှိပါပြီခင်ဗျာကျွန်တော်တို့အခုလက်ရှိအနေအထားအရမြန်မာနိုင်ငံလျှက်စစ်တပ်အားတွေလုံလောက်တယ်လို့ပြောတဲ့လူရှိတယ်လို့မလုံလောက်ဘူးလို့ပြောတဲ့လူတွေရှိပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာဒါပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်တို့မြင်တွေ့နေရတာလျှက်စစ်တပ်အားရဲ့ဈေးနှုန်းဟာ regional မှာကြည့်လို့ရှိရင်အလွန်ပဲနှိမ့်ကျနေပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီအတွက်ကြောင့်မလို့နိုင်ငံတော်ကဘာလို့လဲဆိုတော့ subsidy လုပ်နေတာတွေကတစ်နှစ်ကို500 million US dollar လောက်ရှိပါတယ်ဆိုတော့အဲ့500 US million dollar ကိုသာ subsidy မလုပ်ဘူးဆိုရင်တခြား infrastructure တွေအများကြီးတည်ဆောက်နိုင်တယ်လို့လျှက်စစ် infrastructure ကိုလည်းအများကြီးတည်ဆောက်နိုင်မှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဟိုတလောကကျွန်တော်တို့ tariff တွေ reform လုပ်မယ်ဆိုပြီးတော့ထပ်ကြားပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာဒါပေမဲ့ tariff reform လုပ်မယ်ဆိုပြီးကျွန်တော်တို့ကြားနေတာကဒီနှစ်တည်းမှာ2ကြိမ်3ကြိမ်လောက်ရှိပါပြီခင်ဗျာအခုဒီ reform ကလည်းဘယ်တော့လောက်ဖြစ်မလဲမြန်ဖြစ်မလားဆိုတာကျွန်တော်တို့မျှော်လင့်တာတော့ဒီဟာလေး reform မြန်လုပ်ပြီး regional pricing ဖြစ်သွားလို့ရှိရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့နိုင်ငံအများကြီးကောင်းသွားမယ်လို့ယူဆပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်ရဲ့မေးခွန်းကတော့ဝင်ကြီးအနေနဲ့ဒီကျွန်တော်တို့မှာအခက်အခဲဖြစ်နေတဲ့လျှက်စစ်မှာဖြစ်နေတဲ့ tariff ကိုဘယ်တော့များဖြေရှင်းနိုင်ပါမလဲဆိုတာ
အခုလိုအရေးကြီးတဲ့မေးခွန်းပေးတာကိုအများကြီးကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်နိုင်ငံဖွံ့ဖြိုးတိုးတက်ဖို့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့လက်စစ်နော်ရှိဖို့လိုပါတယ်ဆိုရင်ရှိမှသာလျှင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ရဲ့ဖွံ့ဖြိုးရေးလုပ်ငန်းတွေကိုဆောင်ရွက်လို့ရမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ် no development without energy that is a given အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်မလို့ကျွန်တော်လက်စစ်လိုပါတယ်လက်စစ်ရဖို့ဆိုရင်လည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ကနီးမျိုးအခုကြံဖန်ပြီးတော့ဆောင်ရွက်နေပါတယ်အခုဆိုရင်ပဲများမကြာမီကာလမှာကျွန်တော်ရခိုင်ကမ်းလွန်ဒေသဒီ A6 အကွက်ကနေပြီးတော့ရမယ်ဒီတဘာဝဓာတ်ငွေကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ကုန်းပေါ်ပို့ပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒီကနေပြီးတော့လက်စစ်ထုတ်လို့နိုင်မယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်မျှော်လင့်ပါတယ်ဒီဥစ္စာတော့နောက်4နှစ်လောက်တော့ကြာပါဦးမယ်ကြားထဲမှာလည်းဒီစိုးရိမ်ဝန်ကြီးဌာနအနေနဲ့ဒီ LNG ကိုတွင်းပြီးတော့မှကျွန်တော်နိုင်ငံကိုလိုအပ်တဲ့စိုးရိမ်ကိုပေးဖို့ဆောင်ရွက်နေတယ်ဆိုတာလည်းကျွန်တော်အသိပေးခြင်းပါတယ်စောစောကပြောတဲ့မိကုန်းနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့ကတော့ကျွန်တော်နိုင်ငံမှာဒီလျှက်စစ်ဒီတယူနစ်ကို35ကျပ်နဲ့ကျွန်တော်ပေးနေတာရှိပါတယ်အဲ့တော့အဲ့ဒီလို35ကျပ်နဲ့ပေးတဲ့အတွက်တယူနစ်ထုတ်တိုင်းကျွန်တော်နိုင်ငံကနေပြီးတော့အစိုးရကနေပြီးတော့စိုက်နေရတဲ့အခြေအနေဖြစ်နေပါတယ်အကြောင်းမလို့စောစောကပြောတဲ့500 million US dollars လောက် deficit ဖြစ်နေတယ်ဆိုတာကိုလည်းကျွန်တော်သိရပါတယ် ဒါကြောင့်မလို့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကအဖြေရှာမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်အဲ့တော့စောစောပြောလို့ဘယ်တော့လုံးမှာလဲဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်မင်းရင်တော့ I would have done it yesterday ဒါပေမဲ့အဲ့ဒီဥစ္စာကျွန်တော်ရဲ့ဒီဥစ္စာမှာတာဝန်မဟုတ်ပါဘူးသို့တော်လည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ဝိုင်းပြီးတော့ဒါအဖြေရှာနေပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်ပြောလို့ရတာကတော့ဒီဟာကိုစဉ်းစားနေပြီးဆောင်ရွက်နေပါတယ်အဲ့တော့ဒီလိုဆောင်ရွက်တဲ့နေရာမှာလည်းဘာအရေးကြီးလဲဆိုတော့တကယ်ဆင်းရဲတဲ့ကျွန်တော်လူအခြေခံလူဒန်းစားကိုလည်းမထိခိုက်အောင်ပေါ့နော်လူတိုင်းလည်းလက်စစ်သုံးလို့ရစေရမယ်နောက်ပြီးတော့ဒီလုပ်ငန်းရှင်တွေအနေနဲ့စီးပွားရေးလုပ်တဲ့လူတွေနဲ့တော့ပို့ပေးသင့်တယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်ပေးလဲပေးမှာပါကျွန်တော်ဒီမှာရှိတဲ့လုပ်ငန်းရှင်တွေကိုလည်းဟလာကိုယ့်ကိုဒီဇယ်နဲ့ဒီလျှက်ဆက်ထုတ်မယ်ဆိုအများကြီးကြာမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီ35ကျပ်မကတော့ပေးကြမှာဒါပေမဲ့ပြတ်တဲ့ဈေးနှုန်းဖြစ်ရမယ်ဒီဥစ္စာဒါကြောင့်မို့မျက်တလုံနိုင်မှသာလျှင်ကျွန်တော်တို့နိုင်ငံကဒီဥစ္စာကိုအသုံးချပြီးတော့အချိန်နဲ့တိုးတက်မှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒါကြောင့်မလို့ကျွန်တော်အဲ့ဒီ tariff ကိုကျွန်တော်အဖွဲ့ပြီးတော့စဉ်းစားနေပါတယ်ဘယ်လိုလုပ်ရမလဲဆိုတော့ခေတ်မီနည်းပညာတွေအများကြီးရှိပါတယ် metering ကိုပြောင်းလိုက်ရင်တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့လုပ်လို့ရတယ်ဥပမာအဖြစ်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ digital metering နဲ့လုပ်လို့ရှိရင်ဟလာတချို့ရက်ွက်တွေမှာကျွန်တော်တို့နှုန်းတစ်မျိုးပေးလို့ရတယ်เนาะဒီစက်မှုလုပ်ငန်းတွေအတွက်ဆိုတစ်မျိုးပေးလို့ရတယ် residential area တွေဒီတတ်နိုင်တဲ့ပုံကိုယ်တွေနေတဲ့နေရာမှာဆိုရင်နှုန်းတစ်မျိုးပေးလို့ရတယ်ညနှုန်းတစ်မျိုးလုပ်လို့ရတယ်နေ့တစ်မျိုးလုပ်လို့ရတယ်အဲ့တော့ဒီခေတ်မီနည်းပညာသုံးပြီးတော့ digital meter ပြောင်းဝင်နေအောင်မှာတော်တော်လေးအပြောင်းလဲဖြစ်လာပါစောစောကပြောတဲ့ tariff ကိုတော့တည်တည်ချာချာကိုစဉ်းစားနေပါတယ်เนาะကျွန်တော်တို့အင်ဒီနာချင်းနိုင်ငံလိုမျိုးဟုတ်လားကမ္ဘောဒီးယားမှာတော့အများကြီးပေးနေရပါတယ်အဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကဒါကျွန်တော်တို့ပြည်သူတွေလည်းသိဖို့လိုပါတယ်လျှက်စစ်ဆိုတာတော့ကျွန်တော်သုံးရင်သုံးသလောက်တော့ကျွန်တော်ကြားပေးဖို့ရှိပါတယ်ဥပမာအဖြစ်ကျွန်တော်တယ်လီဖုန်းနဲ့ပတ်သက်တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကကြီးပြူနဲ့ပဲတယ်လီဖုန်းကားတွေပေးပြီးတော့သုံးနေရင်ကိုယ့်နိုင်ငံကိုယ့်အိမ်မှာသုံးတဲ့လျှက်စစ်ဖို့တော့လေပေးဖို့ဆိုတာတော့အစင်းသင်းဖြစ်ဖို့တော့ကျွန်တော်မျှော်လင့်ပါတယ်လှုပ်ကြမှာပါတိုင်းပြည်ကတော့အားလုံးကဝိုင်းပြီးလှုပ်ရင်တိုးတက်မယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်ဝုတ်ချယုံကြည်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာI've been given permission for one more question if there is any the gentleman over there with the glasses and apologies we've run out of time but
okay good morning Mingalaba to Union Minister Wu Tun.
Ni hao.
Mingalaba. My name is Mr. Tim Wong from Myanmar Chamber of Commerce. I have two questions to ask Union Minister. Now I saw that the travel policy is open, so Hong Kong and Macau and Japan and Korea visitor no need visa to Myanmar, and also China people also arrival visa in Myanmar. But I find that one not convenient is calling exchange. If the China visitor arrive in Yangon or Myanmar, but they get the China dollar, renminbi, so they know US dollar, so it's difficult to exchange. And also one question is the US dollar need to very clear if something problem US dollar cannot change. And also when I arrive in Lepido, it's a difficult exchange the US dollar on the Saturday and on Sunday. On Sunday is very difficult because the bank is closed. And if I want to change 2,000, 3,000 US dollar exchange this, the airport exchange shop is closed, so I cannot exchange. This is not convenient. And also, last question is the company Invest Myanmar. I saw that it's changed a lot. The local company can join 35% foreigner into the local company. But in the future, the government, Myanmar government will change more percent, maybe 50 or more foreigner people can join the local company, maybe 50 or more? Yeah, this is my last question. Thank you very much.
Okay. These are real practical questions, Your Excellency. Perhaps as you answer them, as we've run out of time, you might also share your concluding remarks on investing in Myanmar, if I could invite you to do that.
Thank you very much. I think questions such as this are very important. I think these are practical questions. We have opened our doors to business. We are also looking to see if we can attract more tourists to come to Myanmar. I think that is the reason why we have instituted this visa-free entry for our friends from the East, Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, and Macau, and as well as visa on arrival for China and India, and 50, 60 other countries that can have visa on arrival in Myanmar. I have with me in this hall many bankers. We have Yoma Bank sitting right in front of me, and other bankers in the room. So I will ask them to see if they can help us make sure that our visitors are able to change not just $1,000, but maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars when they arrive in Myanmar. So probably what we can probably do is if they come with the Visa or Master or JCB or other international cards, they should be able to use those cards. That is one. There is MPU in Myanmar. They could probably link with MPU. I know the Chinese come with WeChat and Alipay. Also, we are trying to find ways and means to link it to our system so that if you pay with Alipay or WeChat, this can be possible. And of course, if we can make Hong Kong dollar or Macau dollar or yuan convertible here in Myanmar, that would be very good too. So I will leave that to the bankers and the central bank to work out something. I can assure you that I'm all for you. I will be with you. I want to make it easier for you to come, enjoy your stay here. If you are in Napier for the first time, please do visit some hot springs from here. It will cost you only a couple of more $1,000, but that should be good for the economy. But I want to assure you that we are working on it. This is a work in progress. Everything is not set in stone. We want to change. We want to move forward. We want to catch up with the world. We will change. You have seen change in a few weeks. You will see more change in the coming years. That is the message I want to give you. And with regard to closing remarks, I just want to repeat the words of the State Councillor. It's time to invest in Myanmar. This is perhaps the last frontier, but the best last frontier. So please do try us out and see if it is a win-win situation for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, thank you very much, Your Excellency. And on a personal note, I wanted to thank you and indeed your entire colleagues from the Cabinet and regional ministers. I have been to a number of these conferences, and I have never had so much accessibility to senior members. We've had vice ministers manning booths almost all day yesterday. We've had regional government representatives on hand. It has been the most accessible. We won't have all of the answers, but the fact that you and your colleagues are making an effort gives us heart and encouragement. And as a Myanmar citizen, just one reminder for the press, there is an immediate conference available with the minister in the media room if you want to make your way there. Otherwise, Your Excellency, thank you so much.